bass heads? Welcome to another episode of the Blue Collar Bass podcast. Now, I need to ask you guys, first off, I need to tell you that I understand that it's Wednesday. Remember what I told y'all before? So you're watching a replay right now. If you are a member of Groove School, link below. If you're a member of Groove School, we're doing office hours right now. So that's where I am, but record. You get what's going on. Hey, I need your opinion on something. Number one, should I continue to call this the Blue Collar Bass podcast, or should I call it the Groove School podcast, or should I call it, you know what I'm saying? Help a brother out so I can, get this branding thing happening. Let's talk about groove for a second. Today is Memorial Day. I'm recording this on Memorial Day. In the morning, I was about to go for a bike ride, and I'm strolling through the comments I'm strolling through the good old book of the face, as one does in the morning when they're sipping their coffee, which I seem to have run out of. And somebody posts, you can learn how to solo, but not how to groove. These statements are such caca to me. I'm going to tell you why. Because, and I did a video on what my idea of groove and the etymology of the word groove, whatnot. I'll link it somewhere in here. Groove in and of itself is not inherently magic, right? And also to say if somebody can or cannot do something, or if something is groove and something is not groove, we would need a mutually accepted idea or definition of what groove is. And as long as I've been a musician, that conversation is always like, if you ask musicians what groove is, you're going to get a whole bunch of different things, right? Which is fine. But whatever genre you're playing, if it's not feeling good, right? If you don't feel, you could tell when it's uncomfortable, right? But to me, all music has groove. All music has groove. And my response to this is, if you take a song like Skin Tight, and some of y'all know, dum 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 boom ba-dum bum 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 in two different keys. You could agree that a part of the criteria for a groove is a repeating motif, a repeating pattern, right? So by that standard, boom, 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 boom. But by that definition, by that standard, then Brown Eyed Girl also has a groove, right? Depending on who you are, you're going to enjoy one of those things more than you enjoy the other. Me personally, I don't have a problem with Brown Eyed Girl, but if you ask me which one I want played at my funeral, it's definitely going to be, I don't know why I said that. It's going to be Skin Tight, and don't play Skin Tight at my funeral. Play something else, but you understand what I'm saying. So I think that's groove, and what's groovy and what feels good is subjective. I think that every genre of music has its own set of criteria, its own set of tools, and we're not going to get into that too much right here, but people who play funk music or gospel or whatever, country, show tunes, you know what your bag is. That's your bag. And you know what tools need to come out of that bag for the job, right? That's just knowing the rules of the road. There's nothing magic about that. There's nothing inherently magical about that. And so we don't need to gatekeep that. You know what I'm saying? I think maybe it's like riding a bike. That analogy's been on my mind a lot lately. Maybe teaching groove is like riding a bike. I can show you some things, I can tell you some things, but then there's some things you need to do on your own that I simply cannot physically do for you. You see what I mean? So, you need to know how to count. I think a lot of people miss that part. I think there's some nature and nurture in that. I grew up in a musical environment. Not saying that neither one of my parents played instruments, but they were music lovers. They were music enjoyers. And I also grew up in the city of New Orleans, which is a very musical place, as everyone knows. So the idea of moving your body and having rhythm and I'm not a dancer. I'm not a dancer. I can't, like, second line. I don't have good footwork. You know what I mean? And you will, if you look up second line, when people like have footwork, and when people just go out there and just move their body, right? I'm just a move your body kind of a person, right? In order to groove in any genre of music, you need to and I'm gonna just put this out here as I think about it. You need to understand, and I'm not talking about the concept of one, although that's a part of it. You need to understand how music is grouped in time, i.e. measures. You need to know how to count. You need to, at the bare minimum, you need to understand 4/4 time, common time, right? And I'm not saying that music in triple meter doesn't groove, because it does. I mean, but let's keep it simple. Common time is called common time because it's, anyway. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm not just counting 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm also tapping my foot, and I can say something. I can't rap, but I can feel all this stuff happening in my body. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if I tell you a story, I could talk about anything, right? But 1, 2. I still know where 1 is, 2, 3, 4. So I'm walking down the street, and I see this cat, and the cat is black. And so then I get scared, and I say, no, man, I'm superstitious. So Stevie Wonder says, if you believe in things that you don't understand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, doesn't matter what else is going on. So there's nothing magical happening on beat 1. It's just the downbeat. But if I start there and I know where beat 1 is, then everything else that needs to happen in the measure can happen, even if there's some, like, if there's a plane crash or a train wreck, or I don't know. Not a train wreck. That was a bad analogy. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's a lot of different things that come into this, but you gotta know how to count to 4. You gotta know how to count to 4. And you got to not be afraid to move your body. And then I think when you get the instrument in your hand, understand that the instrument is an inanimate object that you control. It doesn't control you. It does what you want it to do. So those are just some things to think about. But don't fall into this trap that you can't learn how to groove. I think there is nothing inherently magical about groove, about something that's groovy. The concept of groove is so subjective. And what I believe is that you might be one of these people that has bought into this notion that you can't do something, maybe because you're not black. I'm gonna keep it 100. Maybe because you're not a guy, right? For the few handful of ladies that watch the channel, you know, and that's bullshit. Okay. Pardon me. So we got a short episode today because I don't think it needs to be long. But let me know your thoughts in the comments about what you think. How would you define groove? How would you define groove? And can anybody do it? Is it nature or nurture? Nurture, nature, is which one is it? Right? Let me know what you think it is in the comments below. Listen, if you have not joined Groove School, you can start your 7-day trial at the link down below this video if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening, you can go to grooveschool.co/store. If you are watching during Memorial Week, so I'm filming this on Monday. If you're watching during Memorial Week, you can save 25%. All right. So listen, y'all, don't buy into this into this fallacy that you can't groove or that you can't understand groove. You need to know how to count at least up to 4. This is the least you need to do. Be able to count to 4. Be able to tap your foot. Be able to count to 4. Be able to tap your foot. Look, if you're watching the replay right now, if you made it this far, up there at the top is a playlist that I think you should check out. Down there is a video that YouTube thinks you might like. All right? If you aren't subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. We having fun around here. I'll catch you in the next one. As always, bassheads, peace, 2 fingers.